going. Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage, and we're standing in the field next to a 2026 Chevy Silverado EV Trail Boss extended range. I think I got all that right. I'm not a car reviewer. Well, not a professional one at least. I do drive a lot of miles in a lot of different cars and have a lot of, experience with them. And a lot of people have the same question that I have always had. Has an auto manufacturer finally made an electric truck that does truck stuff? Well, I'm gonna answer it real quick. I'm trying to do a shorter review. Normally I do hour-long videos. I'm trying to keep this one under like 25 minutes for you guys. Quick answer, yes, question mark. Now, I feel like we need to go ahead and define what exactly is a truck. Well, to me, a truck needs to be capable of certain things. It needs to be able to carry cargo in a bed. It should be capable of going off-road, and it should be able to tow stuff. 4 is optional. It should look pretty cool. I think it does. Unlike some other electric trucks out there that are just a pure gimmick, this looks like a truck. Maybe they missed the mark and didn't name it an Avalanche, but let me just give you a quick tour of what the truck has, the features, some of the fun. Its power, 750 horsepower via electric motors. It's fun. So this is an electric truck, which means there's no engine. And unlike other car manufacturers, this isn't a paid option. So what do we have up here? Oh, look, it's today's sponsor, Frunk Workwear. Listen, if you guys have been under a rock, somehow have not heard, I like Frunk Workwear. I love having them on the channel as a sponsor because they represent a lot of things I appreciate. What's that, you may ask? Well, that's a heck of a product that you don't have to overpay for. Frunk Workwear was founded on the principle of giving you the highest quality product without just robbing your bank. I have spent so much money on boots in the past that just really aren't up to the task. Granted, I'm more gravity capable than everyone else out there, but I can say with confidence, all of my close friends that have purchased Frunk Workwear on my recommendation absolutely loves them. Now, one thing I constantly strive for is, again, representing a product I use. Even when Frunk's not the sponsor, you're gonna see me in their boots, in their work pants, and when it's chilly, in one of their hoodies. They are comfortable and they hold up to my everyday shop use. Frunk has so many different boots that can fit every trade that you're looking for. Whether you need heeled boots for ladders and OSHA improvement, different types of steel toed, Frunk has their own Frunk composite toe, keep your toes safe, or if you're someone who's looking for just a nice, attractive, comfortable work boot, Frunk has got you covered. I did go ahead and order up my 5th pair of Frunk boots. Got some Omen soft toes. I'm intending to try to keep those clean. These are meant to be my clean, going to town work boots. We'll see how long that lasts. Now, when you're wearing a Frunk boot, you've got water resistance, some waterproofing depending on the option if your trade or work requires it. You got farmyard proof, and you got oil and slip resistant soles rated for up to 572 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh yeah, water resistance, waterproof. When I'm pressure washing a boat, I just clean my boots with a 4,000 PSI pressure washer. Not recommended care though. Don't do that, but you can. If you're ready to give them a try, you can head on over to bruntworkwear.com/questionable10 where you're going to save $10 off your first order of $60 or more. Again, bruntworkwear.com/questionable10. Use that code. You're saving $10 on your order of $60 or more. And if you do get them, you try them on the job and they're just not right, reach out to them. They've got the Frunk Make It Right guarantee. They'll get you covered. All right, let's get back to taking a look at a truck that works as hard as these Frunk boots. So for some reason, a Frunk is a somehow controversial thing when it comes to EVs. I don't get it. I didn't think I would use it much, and I use the heck out of it. It's convenient for throwing camera gear in. You go to the grocery store, they're not rolling around the floor. They're out in the bed of your truck. You put them in the front. Also, you got a drink holder and a power port. Play some music, hang out, sit in the front. I'll climb up there. If you're not Jared size, or you have Jared size and a really small lady, you guys can slide back, put a pillow on your back, and just enjoy a beautiful countryside. Well, I don't know, guys. You think you can fit some cargo in your truck here? It brought back the midgate, one of the coolest features of the Avalanche, and it extends the bed length to up to 10 pollen. With your midgate open, tailgate down, and luggage stop up, you're fitting up to 10 feet long objects. That's very truck-like. Now I know what you're thinking. Opening the midgate must be a really big pain in the butt. They always were. First, take your seatbelt, stick the buckle in that opening there. That's going to get your belt up and out of the way. Quick and easy. Pull one strap, one button, pull, strap again. This will come on down. Once it's down, slide on in, undo your latch, lift up, carefully slide your glass in. Tuck there. Are you ready for this? Midgate is open. Boom. Putting it back together. Just as easy. Lift and slide. In you go. Glass comes out. Up. Latch. Latch. Now, that's where this is real handy. So you need to pass just one thing through. You don't need your whole midgate open. There you go. Listen, I'm not going to say you're going to use your midgate all the time, but a well-designed, well-thought-out process, it's kind of nice. Now, we're standing back here by the gas cap, aka the charging port. Biggest concern when it comes to anything EV is range, and I understand it. This is my first modern EV that I've driven for any length of time. Aside from jumping into aging wheels truck and his car, doing quick little drives, I have not lived with an EV for any length of time until now. I've got just about 2,700 miles. This is a very unique circumstance in that I've had the truck for 30 days. It has been my daily driver. And I will be perfectly honest, not once did I ever have any anxiety. I'm also aided by the fact that this has a 472 plus mile range of battery on a full charge. Not all of your EVs have that, but my first driving experience was leaving Cincinnati, coming back to Georgia. Everyone else has their apps and fancy things. All I did was put my address in the navigation and said, take me home. It told me exactly where to go to charge, how long to charge, and I had no problems. It was perfectly fine. This is also the point where I was going to talk about how road tripping an EV is absolutely possible. You can do it, but because of the cost associated with fast charging, makes it a little bit more difficult. Same with towing. Towing long distances when you're not charging at home puts you in a situation where you will spend more money on the electricity for that drive. All of my numbers don't matter anymore. Things have changed drastically. Whereas my initial calculations were showing about 55 cents a mile pulling the enclosed trailer. Not cheap, but it's not as bad as you would consider because the initial math was about 21 cents a mile with a traditional gasoline vehicle pulling that same trailer. This is based on real math of that same trailer being pulled by different vehicles. Current numbers, it's 48 cents a mile. We're not going down that rabbit hole, but I will say electricity tends to be a much more stable commodity, which means when you are charging at home and using a vehicle, how it most often is used around a central home base becomes really cheap. How cheap? My Tahoe hybrid with the cheap gas would cost me about $5.50 a day to go from my house to my shop and back home. Now, charging this truck at my shop, it's about 80 cents to do the same drive in my daily commute. Granted, I drive 6 days a week, so that's $300 a month less in energy cost. I'm not your average use case, but there can be real substantial savings when you're positioning yourself and using an EV for your daily vehicle. Now, when you tow things, that can change the situation quite drastically, as everyone's well-known EV towing channel, Hoovy's Garage, it changes drastically to some vehicles going sub 100 miles while towing. Absolutely useless. Again, big battery pack truck here, so we're playing a little bit uneven odds, but the range is about the same. Pulling that enclosed trailer, we're seeing 0.9 to 1.1 kilowatts a mile. Driving with no trailer, I consistently see around 2 to 2.2, sometimes a little bit less if I'm having fun, which you've seen. It's easy to have fun with this truck. 750 horsepower, it does a whole lot. Sometimes you just have to cater to your vehicle strengths to make that a fun road trip. Now, pulling my open trailer, I was seeing anywhere from 1.2 to 1.6 kilowatt a mile. So obviously you're losing range. Now this truck, being a 2026, is actually really good about measuring load and giving you an accurate range to go off of. I know, talking with Robert, he was commenting, oh, how horribly off was your range calculations, basically to the worse. The truck in the past tended to cut itself short to make sure you didn't run out of battery. But even with that said, we were pretty much on the money within a couple miles. And again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm not a constant EV owner. This is my first EV experience, and in 30 days, I had zero concerns. I was able to do almost all of my charging at the shop. There were a few times when I knew I'd be driving more than average or needed to go ahead and pull for a long distance. I'd run by a local quick charger. I hated it because 43 cents a kilowatt hour there versus, substantially less back at the shop. But regardless, there was no problem. And that's where we go into answering this question number 2 about towing. It can absolutely tow. It does it no problem, and realistically, it does it better than most of the gas cars are going to do. Something about an electric motor, instant torque, it handles the towing problem. You do have a little bit of a range problem. You knock that about in half, depending on your trailer. Robert Dunn, Aging Wheels, he did an amazing video with his 2024, I believe, work truck Silverado EV, where he took his flat trailer, loaded up a bunch of wood on it, did a ton of range testing. Then he built, with the wood on his trailer, basically a simulated box trailer, and did more range testing on it. And the range dropped catastrophically. With an EV, it's not the weight, it's the aerodynamics of your trailer. That means what it will, but I've towed with it. I brought all the EV1 parts back from Detroit. No problem. Well, there was a tornado, but ignoring that. I then brought my very broken 71 Duster up to the shop. It towed that, no problem. And then I went and drug out my latest questionable purchase, a boat that was buried in mud. The only problem I'll say is the 4-wheel steering of the truck. It makes it look like you don't know how to back a trailer until you learn it. You can do really cool things backing a trailer, but until you get used to it, that's one of those consistently cool and annoying things. Learning that 4-wheel steer really messes you up. Really, the biggest concern or problem was if the trailer was going to fall apart or if the tree was going to stay put. Now, what about off-roading? Well, I'm off-road. This is the Trail Boss. This has the 2-inch factory lift on it. The big, I believe they're about 35-inch tires. Listen, I am not a spec sheet reader. There are professional car reviewers for that. I could read you a window sticker. Instead, I'm just going to tell you about the truck. But when it comes to off-roading, there's one small problem. In the agreements that you have to sign to be given access to these vehicles, you say you won't go off-road. I did try, very politely, with some emails asking for permission to go off-road. And the problem is North Georgia trails, there's lots of rocks, and the truck has a very long wheelbase. The tires are very far in the front and in the back, which makes the center of the vehicle vulnerable to high centering. That's where it gets stuck on stuff. That's where the battery is. The battery is very well protected, but given this is my first press vehicle, I didn't want to rip the bottom off the truck. But good news is I've also built a lot of race cars, and I've read a lot of rule books. There's a certain thing called the gray area, the unspoken rules, and the contract said off-road. If it appears on Google Maps as a road, am I off-road? Now, I'll be honest, I did not want to push my luck. We found a relatively rough gravel cutout Forest Service road with some utility access. It kind of just sneezed its way up there. It looked pretty cool, looked pretty exciting, and the truck didn't care. We also passed a group of 4x4s coming out the other direction, And they all kind of thought it was cool to see an EV out there doing that stuff. And while we were out that way, there's a beautiful lookout called Bell Mountain. It is a very, very steep road. And it's interesting. You sit there and you hear a lot of vehicles struggling to climb their way up, and this just kind of idled its way up. And then coming back down, because it was so steep, I ended up with like 8 or 9 kilowatt hour a mile average. It was absurd because all we did was generate electricity going down the mountain. So yes, the truck is fully capable of doing off-road things. Now, one thing, when you have an electric vehicle, sometimes there's limits. You know, you don't have the sound, you don't have that big, exciting, roaring engine, but you still can do some really cool things. This has what's called WOW mode, wide open watts. We'll show you that in just one second, but first, it has 4-wheel steering, so it can do something really fun. Not sure why it does it, but it's a lot of fun. So let me show you that. So if you hit your drive modes, now I want to be fair. We're not going to spend time covering most of this infotainment. It's the standard across almost all of the GM vehicles and the higher trim levels, electric or gasoline. This is the same. Cup holders, power charging, air vents, red trim. But if you come here, you got your power base. That's really awesome. You can run lots of tools off of it. But we come here to Sidewinder. Sidewinder. Yes, it's silly and I love it. But we will start driving now. And I don't know if you can quite tell, but we're basically kind of driving sideways. If you look at that rear tire, you see it turned way out there. And we'll come back. This is one of the greatest. And just, you know, you got to ask yourself, why? Why not? Why not have a little bit of fun? Just because you can. Now, one of the things I will say I've thoroughly enjoyed, a lot of electric vehicles make a big deal about making a fake engine noise or fake sounds. It's trying to be something it isn't, and I don't understand the point of it. An electric vehicle should be kind of nice, quiet, comfortable. I'm not trying to make it be a V8. So when you're in just kind of the normal drive mode of this truck, it's quiet. I mean, you romp it. You hear the electric motor whir, and that's kind of it. It's just a quiet, comfortable place to be and going down the road. Now, just covering infotainment just real quick. Take a look here. The panel I have selected shows average. It shows mile an hour, distance to empty, and power consumption on the right. When it's going up, you're using, and when you're down, you're regenning. Now, I have been using one pedal drive a lot. That is just a matter of you don't really touch the brake pedal much. When you let off the gas, it immediately goes into regen mode and uses the motor to regenerate electricity that you've used rather than wasting it, and it slows you down that way. Turns the brake lights on and does all the little things that you should be doing when you're slowing down. Something else I will say, when it comes to driving on my route home, you've got to go through the mountains. Blood Mountain, Tellico Plains. There's some amazing roads up that way. I think the best way to describe my experience driving this truck through the mountains, I describe it as a left tackle dancing the ballet Black Swan. It has no business being as good as it is, but physics, having the battery pack down super low, helps it a whole lot. Also, 4-wheel steering helps it a whole lot. 750 horsepower. That helps a whole lot. So the truck is able to wow you. What I mean by that? Wide open watts. That's when it goes into full power mode. You see that little symbol there? Not sure what it's necessarily trying to be, but that's wow mode. So if we hit that, get the nice little chorus, And now if you listen closely, you hear just like a nice kind of chord. It's a synthetic, kind of sounds like an organ. It's not pretending to be an engine. Why is this so hard for some manufacturers? Like, don't make the spicy mode sound like a gas engine. This is an electric truck. It doesn't need to pretend. But once you select into that mode, you have a more aggressive pedal. You press it, it tends to rip a little bit harder. This mode is also how you get the rated 4.4 second 0 to 60 in a nearly 9,000 pound truck. All right, so now that we are at a full stop, oh, yep, it's going. It's still going, okay. No, I just kind of got used to the pull. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't at all. Normally, I say, EVs are one-trick ponies. They just do the quick acceleration, but somehow this truck also does really good cornering, which is a whole lot of fun. Also, you got, normal my mode where you can fully configure an off-road mode, towing mode, and terrain mode. We've just done towing and on-road, so we're not quite sure what all the other buttons do. Most people who buy a truck don't need a truck. They want a truck, and I'm not going to shame you for that. It is totally fine to buy and drive the car you want or truck that you want. But a truck owner doesn't necessarily have to be a truck owner. I drove through the local hardware stores, drove through the local grocery stores, and about 70% of the vehicles that had a trailer hitch never had a hitch installed. Like, they are spotless mint, or they had a funny little caricature dealer advert, some type of insert in it. They don't pull a trailer at all. So right off the rip, we have pretty much eliminated complaint number one, and that is, can an EV truck tow? Most of you guys aren't towing. Quit fooling yourself. It is okay. I am not judging you, but you don't need it. You want it, and it's okay. So, in all seriousness, did a car manufacturer finally make an electric truck that's a truck? And there's no more question mark. I really feel confident in saying, yes, they absolutely did. Now, initial cost, there's some sticker shock, but you would be amazed if you start optioning out very similar 1500s with the same options, you're within spitting distance of each other. It is absolutely insane that gas trucks have creeped up that high, but when you're looking at something that is so close in price, and for more than 70% of you that want a truck, need an occasional truck capable thing, why not buy this? Like I said at the start, I am not a professional car reviewer. I am I'll dare say, professional car guy. I wrench on stuff a whole lot and had an amazing opportunity to get a medium vehicle. And I kind of grew emotionally attached to it. In real timelines, the truck is leaving my possession in just a couple hours. And I may have stayed up way later than I should have. Not working on the script, not trying to plan this out to walk around and talk. I was shopping these trucks. And I will still say this. This is not a slight against any other of GM's products. Not a slight against Tesla, Rivian, Polestar. I'm not interested in any of those EVs. They're not an EV for me. I like trucks. I tend to always daily drive a truck. And I am legitimately sad that this is going away, to the point that I'm looking at spending money to get one. And I'm cheap. I'm enjoying not having any car payments, minimal debt. I'm really happy with that right now. And this is such a good truck for almost all of my truck needs. I really want one. But they come and go. This one is now cemented as part of the EV1 212 restoration legacy. I'm thoroughly impressed. They are definitely at a point that the next time you're shopping a vehicle, they're worth you at least looking at. It fits a whole lot better than they did 5 years ago. even 2 years ago. They are good vehicles. You can use them every day, and it's a lot of fun. And that's totally okay. So everyone, let's hope poor Dwayne was able to cut this down to my goal, 25 minutes. We'll see. I don't know. I talk too much, but that's because I'm trying to be honest and reasonable about everything. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. It's a very different look compared to normal, but I had a truck. I really like the truck, and I thought you guys would enjoy the perspective of, again, just a car guy. There's a lot of EV environmentalists. They're going to save the world. It's a fun truck. It's a fun thing to drive, and it does truck stuff. So I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices. And again, do what you want, drive what you want. No one's going to judge you unless you're squatting a truck. Then get out of here. See you next time.